And welcome back to the pre-game Astralis versus Riddle. But before we go any further, welcome back, Oberg.
I mean, I've been here the entire day, but thank you for being back on the analyst list. That is greatly appreciated. And with no mirror for the first time.
It's the first time they've actually allowed us both to be on the same camera at once. It's a dangerous prospect, but we're gonna try and get through it.
Oh yeah, it's the first time. Oh
yeah, crazy.
I'm actually afraid. Astralis versus Riddle. Will this be? Yeah. Will this be the time for Astralis?
Yeah, of course it will! What are you asking me? Of course What are you talking about? Now, I will say, when I'm looking at the trajectory of these two teams, Riddle looked more struggling to me in their victory, which sounds weird because Riddle had a victory and Astralis had a loss. But I think in terms of how Riddle played that game out, in terms of how it should have been played out, they struggled a lot. Whereas Astralis, I can give it to them that the game became really close because Kickers had monster flanks on them and they kind of just got outscaled with only having one AP ratio. But the more I'm looking at Astralis, the more they're getting things right. So I think today is the day.
Oh no, it's
you have counter arguments.
No. I'm just saying that, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to you guys. I'm sorry to you guys at home, because on that cast, I know I started off with saying, oh, this is actually a pretty good game from them. I wonder if they're turning it around. They're looking better than they did last week. Don't know if it's quite there yet, but it is something built on the previous defeats.
Ooh, we gotta split up on the desk. Let's go into the champion select. Italy, there we go.
More teams that can't read.
It's true. No surprises there on that one. MC, obviously, if you haven't known about this guy, he's an Italy connoisseur. On the other side, we are still seeing the Twisted Fate. Now, another thing I will say with today's picks and ban is that we've actually seen Corki go through quite a lot. And it feels like it's only when we're having the upper end of the teams that we get more into the meta of these good picks. Because when we watch the lower teams, they kind of have their own comfort where they don't always play the meta.
And I think a lot of that comes into what are these teams actually comfortable playing around themselves? Because I keep referring back to this one interview that Yamato Cannon did on the NLC broadcast. We're saying, actually, you know, the Corki package timing is really easy to play a macro around. You have it every couple of minutes. You can play around dragons with that. But even that has been like a little too far for some of our lower teams in the NLC, because they have struggled to actually survive the laning phase, get to the point where they actually could turn online at that point. So sometimes it's just been easier to just take your hands off it, go back to your own comfort.
Interesting we see the Diana here, because I feel like since Sao, Corki, they're easier champions to play. When you go for the Diana, I mean, you got the Renekton to play for, up towards topside with Constant. We know that's something Astralis has favored. You have Set as well in the mid lane, but it does leave open Corki Jinx rotation if you'd like to go for that right here. Thresh is up and available as well. I feel like there's so many OP picks open right now that an overloaded draft is kind of helping Riddle in this spot.
There you go. That's the Renekton locked in very early. It is a big takeaway from Carlson. I believe he's played 3 games of it out of the 7 games in total. He's played a lot of it. It's his most played anyway. It's also a great pick with a lot of AP junglers to kind of pair up with. It's been a long time since we have seen Renekton Italy, Renekton Elise, that kind of AP plus Renekton dive comp. But Diana still kind of fits into that, right? Gives you that mixed damage topside, makes it very hard to survive in that kind of matchup. But you can take that away, and suddenly you've got the Renekton and the Jhin locked in from Riddle. That to me screams you can't fight Herald against this comp either. That's a very strong, like 8-minute kind of power spike for the Riddle Esports team.
You can try, but so far it's going to be interesting to see where they're taking the stylistic. By locking into Jhin here, they're also saying, okay, we are definitely playing up towards the top side in the early game with our resources. And I think that's a decent takeaway, because that is most likely a pick Astralis would have liked to have as well, seeing they have Diana. Usually when you have Diana, you want to play for an AD top laner or something like that. But they do snatch away the Corki, so we have a double AP ratio in the jungle and the mid lane, which obviously will help you with itemization in terms of magic damage. And towards the top side, the play we're looking for is this Set, which is obviously a flex, but I don't think you would be flexing when you already see the opponent's top lane.
And Senna's banned too, so that removes one of the best.
You can always just go Set support, but like for the sake of the conversation, like I definitely think that's not going to be the case.
This is a challenge. This is a straight up challenge from the top lane. So both junglers and both top laners want to go for that adult, want to go for the top lane. They want the top side to be the leading factor. So do you think Astralis is going to pick something like utility-wise on the bot side as well?
I think they have to, don't they? Because you look at the Lee Sin locked in as well. So you've got Lee Sin versus Diana and the Corki's locked in. So you can see that Astralis just want to farm out in the mid-jungle 2v2. They would rather focus towards that top side. On the other side, you know, Riddle's got the Lee Sin. They can focus on that a bit harder. But then you've also got like the LeBlanc already bland away. So you have to pick something a little bit more aggressive in that mid lane, but it's difficult to do that with some of the picks removed.
I don't necessarily think they are forced to play for top side, because I still think with the champions that they have, that you have a frontline disruptor in the Set now that can take away the Renekton in a team fight, can take away the Lee Sin. So you can still play weak side with this, despite the Diana is locked in. Like, there is obviously different ways to play a champion. We just most often see it play off towards the top side. So I don't disagree with taking away the Jinx. I think right now, Riddle perhaps, or Astralis rather, should be trying to take away some of the other facilitating mid laners and the control mages that's good into Corki. And yes, they do take away the Victor, but Syndra is still up and available, for example. And that's something that's great of shutting down a really squishy Corki with a Lee Sin in the back line as well, or in the front line as well, rather. So the 2v2 you can create here is actually really good as well.
I can think of multiple ways to play a Diana. Good or bad. Like, those are the two ways that I can play that champion. Okay, back onto other stuff.
You're dealing in absolutes.
That's the... So yeah, you do have... Oh, that's cool. I like that. So now you actually have an ability to take someone off the board in these kind of transition replays where you're going towards a dragon, you have to push through mid, you have to push through jungle. If you have suddenly kind of this weaker mid-jungle CV2 and you lose first turret versus the Zoe, maybe it comes down to these objective fights. In Slowco on that Zoe, you have real agency now to take someone off the board, and you can't really play that front to back, even though the set, the Diana, the Corki really want to play into that.
That's the thing. Looking at this whole composition as a whole, it's actually a little bit difficult to play a front to back because you are going to be relying on the poke. And I think in the late game already, this Renekton is not going to be a factor because there's not really anyone to facilitate him frontlining. It's going to be around the poke, and if the pokes lands, well, then we can commit to the fight. And Astralis, with their composition right now, have some of the same tools, especially with the Corki now coming in with a bot lane to play for as well. So we are seeing the adaptation we talked about where it's like, this set is actually not a laner we want to play for. He can itemize the armor. You can go an early Bramble West into the Renekton, double armor against Lee Sin and Renekton. That's brilliant. You can never get dived with a W either. And now you have a bot lane to play for. But counter matchup do go over to the fact of Riddle.
Riddle have very low damage. If the Zoe's not landing stuff, they have very low damage. If Astralis find a pick very quickly, I'm worried for Riddle. If Riddle managed to stretch out like the pre-phase of the fight, I think I favor them.
So it's going to be interesting the way the laning phase are played out, because if you are getting priority and you get on the objectives first, try to play around the Zoe bottles, that's your win condition. Like, there is 100%. So much pressure on Slowco in this game. If his skill shots do not connect and you're forced to walk into a team fight with Astralis, you straight up lose. So Slowco, he had a shaky game on the Corki. He needs to step up now that he's on the Zoe.
Now tell me, if you fall behind with the Riddle composition, do you feel comfortable defending?
Don't fall behind.
Yeah,
don't fall behind.
Don't fall behind.
Nope,
not
allowed.
If you fall behind, isn't it? Right. So Astralis needs to win the early game, and they have the game on the back.
I think they have more scaling aspects in the Corgi as well that allows them to have an easier time when they have to come in and contest for objectives if Riddle gets away with the Drake stacking in the early game. But if Astralis takes over the early game, starts stacking up the Drakes, and you're reliant on a Zoe to find these bubbles in an area where you don't even control the vision, I think that's going to be very difficult to play for.
First Drakes and Herald, let's go.
So it's an early game, it's going to be an early decision as well. Whoever takes the early probably will take the mid and probably will take the W. But now we should take it to the caster's desk where we have Initialize and Trouble.
You know, I like that sentiment. You know what Ashram just said? Win lane, win game.
I feel that might be a sentiment we can stick with.
Yeah, I like that. Straight off Goldberg's book.
It really is, and for both of these teams as well. I like to see that kind of give yourself a simple win condition, because both these teams need to start picking up some wins.
Yeah, and I mean, for both of these teams, also the sentiment does land the win lane, but they don't necessarily win the game. So something's clearly going on in the transition that we're going to have to look into in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're on to the Rift nice and quick here, and that does mean we need to be seeing whether there's any level 1 shenanigans, especially when you are running something like a Nautilus. You could potentially go for something a bit dumb, but unlikely as it stands.
Yeah, they need to make sure, because this is the problem right here, right? Zoe's going to have a lot of priority in the mid lane. She does clear mats faster than Corki. Corki's going to most likely have to burn a little bit of mana as well. And Lee Sin is going to have to start making plays. So all eyes are going to be around the mid-jungle duos here. But as Namer has previously said on the desk as well, Corki is not much of a brawler in the early, but Zoe can do a lot of wonders with a Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Also running the Ignite here without Spellbook, has gone straight into Airy with Ignite. Slowco's out for Blood, and MC on the Lee Sin. These two are going to be a pretty good duo to move around the map.
Oh yeah, and Riddle just have so much more agency pre-6 as well. Like, you're kind of waiting on that moonfall for Diana, Corki, as you said. Like, once Rockets before he actually gets to be really obnoxious, all of that kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, Riddle, you know, Lee Sin, Zoe, all of these guys, they got pick in pretty much every lane they care to look for with that Lee Sin. So my eyes are on MC, who isn't on an AP jungler. Again, much to your disappointment, I know we had that chat pre-game.
Okay. I'm going to redeem myself here. I don't think MC is any less good on non-AP junglers. I just think he's that much more stellar on his bread and butter, right?
I see the distinction you're making there is little bit of early trading over this mid bush in bot lane. I had to be careful how I phrased that one.
Okay.
There you go. Someone did actually. I was a bit
please, someone.
I was like, someone, please finish the ward. And they did do exactly that. Of course, it is. Jhin doesn't clear wards the fastest.
So when it comes to pushing lanes with melee supports down the bot lane, whoever takes control of that mid lane bush, he gets that much more dangerous for the opponent AD carry to move forward because you do not have vision on where the support is and when they're going to choose to engage, right? Now, Fatichan and Nukes are trying to take that very early level 2. You see that Nukes has held onto one of his stacks as well. And they're going to take the level 2 first, which means that the Astralis bot lane is going to have to step a little bit further back.
And there's that level 2. Astralis get at the minion after those, so no hard force there as MC...
I'm not sure what MC was doing there.
Yeah,
I think
he
went... He probably thought that Diana started bot side and was gonna end up towards the top side of the map. And now MC has lost a bunch of time because if you look top side of the map, Taxa has already cleared 3 camps and he's moving 4 camps and he's moving to his red buff while MC has fallen significantly behind here.
He has another question I guess I have to ask is what does MC do here? Does he come for an attempted early gank onto the set?
That's the reply right here because Carlsen has burned a lot of his spells right now. He's trying to shove in that wave, knowing that his Diana's down the bot. He needs to shove it quickly. Knows MC starts top, but MC is still top.
He's going to land the Sonic Wave. That's a good phase breaker, though. The heal is just about enough. Flash, and that will be the secure on that one, but I was worried there for a solid moment.
I mean, it is a set, right? And if the Haymaker goes through, you're pretty much dead. But that is really good news for the side of Riddle, because not only do they take Carlsen down, they also take his Flash.
They do indeed. Kressberg takes a bit of a chunk under turret. That will be the dredge line coming out afterwards. Nuke's taken pretty low. Kressberg is the one taking more damage, though. They just about get out of that one, but some heavy trading going on down there.
So, okay, we get the replay again. I think this move by MC was really clever because he knew he was behind in tempo right here when it comes to clearing out his jungle, so he had to make the play work. And yes, you could say that it was very, very close, but it did work. And also the lane is in favor of Kex right now because I'm pretty sure he just left it right there and then TP'd back, which means that the wave is going to be pushing towards him, which means that Carlsen is going to be exposed, not having flash and having burned his teleport as well. So I'm waiting to see if MC is going to clear out the bot side of his jungle and head straight towards the top side where Kex is keeping that wave very close to his tower.
Yeah, and Taxa didn't manage to get in and steal any of MC's blue side jungle as well, so he does actually get to go and take that farm. So that's good news for the Lee Sin. So yes, behind in Temple, but didn't lose too many camps because of it. Will lose both Scuttle Crabs though.
It's fine. We're not in the previous seasons.
True.
You know, they don't give as much XP anymore. They don't give that much gold anymore. Now, I thought this was going to be a pretty slow game by both teams, but MC has been looking for opportunities due to the fact of his invade sort of being shut down really early. But again, we said that Carlsen is going to be extremely exposed. If we can look towards the top side of the map and the vision for blue team, I see 4 wards on the top side of the map. You got the Scuttle, you got a pink ward, and you have 2 more wards towards the top side of the map. Carlsen is not getting dived or ganked anytime soon.
No, he's going to be well aware of people who want to come in here as Kex takes a...
That's a tower shot?
Yeah, it takes a tower shot. They're not very happy about that one. Facebreaker did come through, and MC is going to start wandering up here with slow Q, but as you said, I just don't know how easy it will be to get on top of Carlsen, who rightly backs away from the tower. Set might be hard to dive, but even so, it might get a little bit difficult against Renekton and Lee Sin, and it's just going to be that vision that does save his life here.
And again, MC cleared his bot side, sprinted it straight towards the top side of the map. You need to get this Renekton up and running really quickly. You need to get him ahead so he can be a big nuisance in the backline in this early game, in these early fights towards the bottom side of the map where the Dragon is right now. But also, MC having that look towards the top side of the map showed Astralis that the Lee Sin is not going to be available towards the bot side, which means that it's a very free first Dragon, which you don't necessarily see Astralis do a lot. They don't care too much. They just play the game really, really slow. But this time they're going to go for it, which means MC is going to have to go for the return and see if he can find a kill before Carlsen gets that level 6.
There.
Now he has his Renekton level 6. Carlsen, just leveled up.
takes over.
That's going to be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, a little bit is certainly a way to put it. Set, when he gets to use all of his CC, very challenging at this point in the game to secure kills onto, but they have got a decent wave and are going to think about doing this one. Remember, no teleport. They've got, so they can make this happen. It's a 2v1. They get in. He's got the Dominus, and that was brutally quick.
You know how you counter set ultimate?
Tell me.
You don't let him move.
I genuinely thought it was going to be some real mechanical trick, and I was a bit debated there.
I'm pretty sure that was a Renekton stun straight into a Q from the Lee Sin. Mind you, there was not even a kick from Lee Sin to permanently CC. That was a bunch of burst coming out from the sort of Riddle, and then again, they capitalized towards the top side of the map, while not necessarily losing anything towards the bot side. Yes, you lose a dragon, but you get to snowball your top side. If you look at the CS deficit, Carlsen is almost half CS down to that Renekton.
And that's considering Set is, generally speaking, a pretty strong early laner as well.
He's been right into most melees.
Yeah, and he got the recipient of an unusual gank path from MC into a return gank that's cost him a few waves here, and it has put him a long way behind. We'll get the replay and see how exactly they just murdered
How exactly Carlsen did not get to cast a single spell. So you see the stun comes through, and whilst in the stun, he dies. He just
100-0.
He just dies. Doesn't get to press buttons.
And you could see he was trying to wait to get some true grit, to use the Haymaker, get some shielding and all that kind of thing. Just was given absolutely no opportunity. Of course, it's cost MC a little bit in terms of the farm speed department, and Tax has got to the level 6, is doing pretty well on that front. But the fact you've put this set so far behind is great news for Riddle, and this is a young player from Astralis.
Oh, I love how you mentioned that, because I was just about to say that Carlsen has been one of the stellar players on the side of Astralis, and one of the most aggressive players that they have. The guy that you expect to make the plays in the mid game or the early game and get you ahead, or the guy that you will rely on later on to carry for you together with Crispberg. And putting Carlsen behind when he has been your playmaker for so long, I think it's a great start for Riddle. Now, everything has calmed down. Everybody's taking the resets. We see MC taking the Rift Trail, which means more pressure is going to go towards the top side of the map. Let's have a little bit of a look at Astralis overall, because this is another early game that they have fallen behind, and this has been the story for a long time. And I mean, Astralis on paper, we've said it so many times, this team with all these Danes, promising names, previous, Nordics champions in the roster, you need to do well. And the reality here is that they haven't.
No.
They have been underperforming, and of course the expectations coming in as the second academy in the NLC, when Fnatic Rising almost won EU Masters last season, and you're technically replacing that academy team, it is a little bit disappointing for them. And of course the players have expressed how disappointed they are in their own performances. Now, if you're going to start picking up victories, you have to do it now.
Yes.
We're at the halfway point almost. This is the last game of the first round robin. You need to start picking up victories. And if you're gonna do that, you have to do it against Riddle, because they're very close to you in the standings. You beat them, you even out the score.
You lose, and Riddle are suddenly tying with Veneer and continuing to grow that gap. Astralis on that 5-game loss streak. And yes, we've seen improvement, but it has not led to game wins, and that is the important point. You've said how far we are through the split. From next week, it's rematches.
Yep.
It's going by really quickly, and yes, we're seeing improvement, but if it's not coming with the Ws, I mean, Riddle, on the other hand, they won the game on Monday. It was certainly not pretty. We had this conversation before the game. Riddle won on Monday, but it didn't look good, as we said. It doesn't matter, though, because they got the W, and they come ahead, and if they win this game as well...
What matters.
Exactly that. And they are in a position now to continue to snowball this game. They've got themselves a Herald. They've got themselves set up with this Lee Sin to continue to put Astralis under the cosh.
I wonder if MC is looking for a gank down the bot side of the map. It is fully warded with control wards in both bushes to protect Crispberg and Wendell. Mind you, Crispberg is playing Aphelios. No threat, nothing to protect him, and he has blown his flash. Now, with the Corki backing off, Crest is going to have his teleport really, really fast, but I think they see the opportunity right there. They might pop the Rift Herald in the mid lane and just cash some gold onto Slowky's pocket.
And there's 30 seconds until this Dragon, so it'll buy wave control.
Oh, I don't think Slowky's going to cash in. There's a packet there. Nope.
No,
oh, he does.
He does just get it. He was in range just about. I think he got an auto on the turret, so I think that just about counted. They've managed to get some chunk here. I wonder whether that might have been just a touch too early to secure that mid lane pressure prior to the Drake, as Cress has got the package in inventory as expected for the Dragon fight. We'll see whether Riddle still feel comfortable fighting with that option available to Astralis.
I 100% agree. You know that Corki's going to have the packets for the Dragon. Usually when you play Corki, you do save that package for whenever you want to fight for the Dragon. So it would have been great if we saw the mid lane pressure now coming in from the Rift Herald, and you could try to trade that mid lane tower. Now, The issue right here for Riddle is that they don't necessarily have any attack speed ADC that can burn down a tower really quickly. So all those early stage turret platings have not been taken down only in the top lane by Kects because it has been top lane kingdom overall. Now MC did not decide to put the Rift Herald there because he wanted to boost a little bit of the gold onto Slowkey's pocket, as we previously said. And obviously, I think that Kects really likes to play this laning phase right now. He's
I think he does.
more than double CS ahead at this point. So you definitely do not want to take the tower down. You want to keep Carlsen at arm's reach where you can actually gank him and keep punishing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Set can be relative.
It's a gold drinker versus what? A longsword?
Boots and a shield.
And yeah.
It's like, you know, you've seen like those video games. It's like, yeah, I've started. I've got my little starting gear. I've got this little sword. I've got myself a shield. And you kind
And
of
then you're
wander.
trying to beat Illidan.
Exactly. And you walk into the wrong part of the dungeon.
Yeah.
There's just like this death knight there. It's like, oh no. And that's kind of the situation right now. It started off as double CS, and that's kind of more acceptable when it's like
WoW player as well.
It's a little difference when it's like 15 to 30 CS as your double. It's now like 60 to nearly 120 once Kect gets a bit more of this wave, and that is hard to deal with. And yes, Set is relatively low economy, but that's rough to deal with whatever the economy is.
Now, saying this, of course, Kects has a lot of weight on his shoulders, getting all the resources towards the top side of the map. MC has been there twice. They've been diving. They've been giving him all this gold. He's gotten a lot of early platings. He's got so much gold. The early item. We need to see how Kects is going to transition that into a mid-game fight, because so far, 2 dragons have spawned. Riddle has not wanted to respond to these dragons. Now that everybody has their mythic up and available and built into their inventory, I wonder if Riddle are going to be calling down Kects in 3 minutes with his TP to fight this dragon, because it's most likely going to be the case.
Of course, at that point, the teleports will have been unleashed, so it's a lot easier for him to join, and he is going to be a terrifying factor at that point as Nukes did flash. They get the root there with the deadly flash and force Taxa to flash out. Fatchan are going to be flying out those ultimate bullets, but won't secure too much more aside from that. And there we're going to see the re-engage actually gets the depth charge off as well, but MC is ignited but gets out without anything else. Burner's Slowcue takes a lot of damage there.
Okay, name a more iconic duo than Riddle and taking random fights that will result in no objective at all whatsoever just because you want to fight.
They've done this an unfortunate amount. It's cost them in previous games. It nearly cost them a lot there, and they get out without having to burn too much. But I tell you what, when Corki gets another item, that won't be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to weigh your situations. You need to weigh your fights. Or there, Fatchan has walked back into his lane, and there's a 4-man stack down the bot lane. They want that Jhin dead, but the teleport has been unleashed, and Kect is coming in hot.
Fatchan's got the heal. He's staying alive, and look how strong Kect is in a 1v2 and nearly murders them all. They're going to get the root onto Wendell to the tower. The Gale Force secures the kill for Fatchan. Remember the last time he played Jhin, he does so much damage. Slowcue's now coming down as well, and Astralis thought they had the option with the dive. The bubble lands through the wall, and the Corki is put to sleep. But Slowcue can't portal jump forwards because of where Carlsen was, who teleported down as well. But Riddle outplay the dive. It's all a bait.
3 versus 5. Riddle are able to pull this off. Kex comes in huge, disrupts the backline. No damage goes into the 2 members of Riddle sitting underneath the tower, and it all goes so wrong. 3,000 gold in the lead right now from Riddle. MC was able to empty the entire topside jungle, whatever was left from it, from Taxa, and then he's gonna take the second Rift Herald. Once that mid lane tower drops for Astralis, it's gonna be so dangerous because Zoe is so good at chaining these trouble bubbles through the 2 walls that are next to the tier 1 mid lane tower. Once the tower drops, it's Bubble Town, baby.
The desk called it out, Trouble called it out, I'll call it out as well. That tower goes down, it's open season, if it's not already. This is going to be the top lane finally falling. I think the time of laning is probably over, and now Riddle want to cash in on the gold. They got what they needed, they've got the second Herald, and they are now 4,000 gold ahead.
I wonder though, this Kex pushing in that wave, I wonder if he's going to instantly back right now because the next dragon is coming up. Kex does not seem to want to back, to go play League of Legends with his team, basically.
He's liking this top laning business.
Which means, unless Riddle want to fall before that, because also Carlsen is stuck in the top lane with no teleport, they're going to have to concede that dragon. But Kex has already started moving. The Rift has been poked in the mid lane, which means bye-bye middle tower. And now their Crocodile is close enough as well.
Oh, Wendell's getting rooted up, and he does get a depth charge, but I think he's the one who'll be sinking down. Fadichan picks that one, even if he had his Gale Force blown a moment ago by Taxa. And no soul point available for Astralis after they get a very clean pick-off on the support.
That was really clean by Riddle. That was really clean. Kex pushed double wave towards the top side of the map. Carlson has to reply. Carlson has no TP. Kex walks all the way to middle, stops the Corki from killing the Rift Herald. They take mid lane tower. They stop the soul point. Everything is working according to plan for Riddle. 5,000 gold in their lead right now. Everything's going great. Astralis yet again are doing nothing to stop the snowball. 0-0-0-0 across the board.
They're going to try now. The moment you speak about it, you curse them. They get the kill. You just sorted it out.
I'm going to say it more often.
This is how you have to do things. Just yell about it. That was a really important pickup. That was a hugely important pickup. It might also get Chrisberg a tower here as well. It might stymie some of the bleeding that's been going on. MC will hop forward to try and clear out the wave. Takes a lot of damage in turn. He's got a Moonlight Vigil, but I don't think he's going to pop it right now. Instead, they're out of the wave, though, so they won't actually pick up the tower, and MC gets away with it.
I mean, to be fair, this could very well be a tower for the side of Riddle unless MC wants to stick around to try to clear a second wave, which he could be dived on. So I think they're going to have to concede that. And because Slowq pushes that far forward without vision and gets punished, this is where Riddle are most likely going to lose the first tower of the game.
And it's not quite there yet, but you can see the sun peeking over the flame horizon, the top lane. Not quite 15 CS off right now. Kex putting on a clinic up there. Astralis do at least pick up a turret here, and that is a big deal. If Chrisberg and Crest can survive to get themselves to a couple items, Corki, Aphelios late game, maybe you can team fight your way back in the late stages, but it's a ways off yet, and MC getting caught might be a decent start, though. They're going to try and get him again. He does get to hop away with the safeguard, but there's a Binding Eclipse, a flash away alongside the Dragon's Rage, and that rocket's just not enough. Crest, I feel for you. And actually, now the turnaround's actually pretty huge. That's a Sleepy Trouble bubble. They just blow him up. No! That turnaround engage is absolutely brutal. Flash away from the Moonlight Vigil, and Riddle somehow, some way, get a pick when they were getting picked.
Man, it's just so unfortunate when you're trying to fight Zoe in such a small choke point. It's just so easy for spells to hit.
Ooh. Nukes flashed for that, Zenith. Blade couldn't quite land it. Chrisberg was still down a couple summoners from that earlier teleport play, and gets away with it there, and Riddle still in the lead, still doing well.
Again, I love the aggressiveness from Riddle. They have the Zoe, they have the Lee Sin, and they keep using them. It's 4 out of 5 kill participation for MC. He's been doing stellar on that Lee Sin. The only thing that worries me a little for the side of Riddle is that they have no wards to protect Kex towards the top side of the map. He's the guy that's been pushing for them over and over again. He's almost 100 CS on top of his opponent. Now there's 2 items onto that Crocodile. You unleash him on the map. 2 minutes time, there's going to be another dragon. Astralis are going to want it for soul point, but Riddle want to deny, because an Ocean Dragon versus a Corki that's going to be poking you, a Aphelios with a long gun that's going to be poking you, it's going to be huge. And the same thing for the side of Riddle, right? If you look at both their AP and AD carries respectively, they're very long-range poke-oriented champions, both the Jhin and the Zoe. I think the Ocean Soul is going to do wonders for both of these sides.
It saved Riddle on Monday.
It did.
Like it.
It might save them again.
It might save them again, yeah. They've rolled pretty well on that front, of course. Few good people to proc the Ocean Soul between the Zoe and the Jhin, of course. And Fadichan on that Jhin, the last time we saw him, he went absolutely ham on it. He's 3-0-0 right now as well. He survived the dive onto him by only burning his heal. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a large crocodile teleporting to support him. But either way, he's in a very good position in this game.
Do you want me to piss Namir off?
Do it.
Okay.
Always. Like.
Chris is going for Luden's Echo Corki.
Yes.
Versus a Renekton, Leona, and a Lee Sin playing in his face. It's bold, yeah. So, and we were saying that he's going to possibly be diving in the backline together with, you know, Diana and Set to kill someone back there. I would have loved to see Shieldball here. I would have loved to see a backline dive Corki with a lot of AD power, Infinity Edge on him, converted into, you know, ability power and blowing someone off while still not dying. Now, we're of course going to have to wait and see how this goes, because once the poke starts landing from the AP Corki and you've got 3 melees that are going to have to soak all this damage, it's going to be unbearable. But at what point in the game are you going to have this to start turning the game back? Because you're 5,000 gold behind, you don't have much control on the map when it comes to the dragon. And when it comes to Kex, can he survive 4 people?
I
3 people?
thought we were playing League of Legends. This is looking
go.
more and more like Monster Hunter. That's a lot of healing there from the Gore Drinker, doing pretty well. Have to flash out the Dominus.
He might just be
still
out.
running, and I think he's just out. They can't kill him. They've got a showstopper. I just don't think it matters. He's burned the flash. He's got to heal back off the Golden Meek. That's cheeky as heck, and he just gets out.
I mean, I'll give it to Kex. He's like, you think you can kill me? I'll just dash into the wave and kill it as well.
Who do you think you are?
Okay, very ballsy from Astralis. I see why they try to do that, right? He has 150 gold shutdown on him. You can push the top side of the map because, you know, Riddle have been setting up on that bot lane push because they want the dragon. They want to start stacking their own dragons. Now, of course, Astralis can take a step back and concede a bunch of these dragons because you need at least another 5 minutes from now that you've taken this dragon until Riddle reach soul point. And even then, you can actually give them the soul point and keep scaling. Corki scales the golds, Diana does the same, Aphelios does the same. They can go 600 years of collective experience on Riddle when these 3 champions have actually scaled into the late game.
But I will counter with this point. Astralis with late game objective vision control.
Okay, you got me there.
So it's been a problem over the last few weeks.
With you.
And don't get me wrong, it's been getting better, but it's still not been great.
Okay.
And Slow Q starting to do this kind of thing from off vision is going to make things really obnoxious. Just look at the follow-up between Jhin and Zoe.
Again, the second that mid lane tier 1 falls, Zoe can do so many creative sleepy trouble bubbles around the map. There's so many long walls that you can take advantage of with your skill shot to try and get this long range poke. And when it comes to walking towards the Dragon River, walking towards the Baron, you've got to go through these choke points where Zoe loves playing through.
It's sort of like whack-a-mole where you're the mole and you need to get to try and play a different game. And
Who's
it's
the
like,
whack?
I mean, let's be real, it's Slow Q and Fadachan, and then if you walk into the Renekton, it's not so much a whack-a-mole as sort of shred them. It's like the blender turns up and Renekton sort of turns into a Beyblade and you
100
die.
CS difference in the top lane.
And there it is, there's the Flame Horizon, Sun's peeked over, and Riddle looking like a dawn of a game win potentially in this one, up a significant amount. It's, what, 6,000-ish gold, give or take a few hundred gold?
Yeah.
They are very happy in this game. Of course, if they don't continue pushing the pressure, we've said the scaling's good for Astralis, but I'm not sure they're going to get that chance right now.
Here's where the problem starts. Riddle don't necessarily have a very fast killing Baron team because they have a Jhin. They don't have an attack speed AD carry on their side. And Renekton's playing top side, so he can't necessarily help tank and do more damage on that Baron. And Zoe doesn't necessarily help too much with it either. So what Riddle needs to try and do right now is try and take a pick. And once they do take a pick, they can flow into the Baron area and conceal their presence completely with control wards, allowing Astralis to try and face check to see if that Baron's actually going down and then take a few more. This is why this game, I feel like, is going to come into a stalemate for a while now, because for both of these teams, it's not going to be Soul, it's going to be Soul Point. You can allow each team to take it. It's most likely going to be Riddle because they have the pressure in all 3 lanes. And you can allow this if you're Astralis. You're waiting for your mythic item onto your Corki. You're waiting for potentially the second item onto your Diana. You need the Hourglass. You need a second item on your set. So allow your champions to get a little bit stronger before you try to contest for this Baron when Riddle pulls the trigger.
All right, you've heard the checklist from Trouble. I, for the record, completely agree. They need to try and wait for that. They need to set up. And the problem is they need to do it without losing complete control of their jungle. They need to get an occasional ward in because it's all well and good waiting for scaling, but if you're doing, while it's a survival horror simulator, like it's going to be some monstrous goddess
Zoe's
from the...
pretty cute. What's the horror there?
She's a sort of space goddess that walks a giant dragon around on a leash and considers it cute. That's kind of terrifying, bluntly. She's like a Cthulhu Eldritch horror.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
It's scary once you press Q.
Yes, that's fair. You know, like a star coming flying at my face is definitely not the most comfortable experience in the world. Astralis, shoving up the mid lane though, that's kind of their way to gaining some semblance of map control. And it might be a risk.
They've spotted Kex right now, but if Fadachan opens the curtain call, they could very easily engage with that. The fact that Slowk is so far away though, wait.
So far away and yet still nearly lands a bubble.
See, Wendell bent it like Beckham right there to avoid the sleepy trouble bubble.
I appreciate the reference, but that's a ways back.
Did I just give out my age?
I don't know. I was saying like, oh man, David, I remember watching him when I was a kid. He's a great player. He's a wonderful player. Football, not. I don't know if he's. I mean, doesn't he own Guild Esports? So I guess he's kind of involved in League tangentially.
No clue, man.
I think he's one of the investors there, something like that. There you go. But that's how you connect David Beckham with League of Legends. See, it's all connected. Okay, still a little bit of the stalemate. Baron's alive, but we said it's not going to happen fast. The Ocean Soul, Ocean Drake, there we go, the right word I was looking for. under a minute, though.
If we go back to our checklist, second item not done for
No.
sets, and you're running headfirst into double Gold Drinkers, Sterak's, Lee Sin, and Renekton that are not going to die very easily. So you need, you've got 2.5 items for your Corki, you're good there. You need a second item onto your Diana, and possibly close to a third for your Philios. When Philios has the 3 items, he's ready to go and go 200 years on your butt. So I think Astralis need to give it up.
Oh, they're going to try and contest in the mid lane. Kex doesn't get the best engage he was looking for there. That's the Dominus popped, and honestly, Astralis nicely disengaged, and maybe that gives them a little bit more comfort to go forwards.
I think that was a mistake from Kex right there. He pops the ultimate, he tries to go in, but they don't necessarily use their Leona to do that. They want more. Sloki's almost dead.
It takes a lot of damage, and Zoe hopping forwards meant it was an easy Foss bomb from, I believe, Crest to take a lot of damage. They'll start up the Dragon, and Slowq takes so much damage, he gets hit by the Depth Charge, has to go golden, and Crest is chased on top of him. That'll be Slowq surely dying. He hops back and dies, and now Riddle are falling apart a little bit in this fight. Fatty-chan does get the kill at the back end of it. It's a 2-for-2 right now, but Chrisberg is absolutely looking like a monster blender right now. Look at the number of blades flying around him. They finally catch out. Kex flashing in, gets onto Crest. He might fall. Remember, it's no shield bow, no safety, and he's down as well. Kex gets in on top, and that Crocodile still a monster. Taxa goes in with the Lunar Rush. Has to flash away, though, from the Deadly Flourish. MC going back in, and there's just too much gold. There's just too much healing. The Gold Drinker is obscene, and Riddle some way, somehow turned that around.
That fight was brought to you and won by our sponsor, Dollar. And once Dollar, it's all of this money that's in Riddle's pocket that turned this fight around from them. See, Kex has no ultimate, but they still want to take the engage. Look at Slowq. He's always envisioned. They know he's at about 30% of his HP, and that was such good instincts right there from Wendell. Flashes through, instantly puts the ultimate, allows Crest to move forward and take Slowq straight out of this equation. It was really well done by them. And if you look at this, Chrisbeck doesn't even have the right weapons to fight melee champions. He does so much damage to them. Had this been a fight on even footing where gold is concerned, Astralis would have come out on top. And even though MC and obviously Kex, we said that they're the most fed champions in this particular game. They have a lot of money. They have Gold Drinker plus Sterak. Makes them extremely tanky while being able to output so much damage. They're able to turn this around due to pure raw strengthening items.
I gotta call it out. I think Taxa thought MC Sterak's had already been popped. It hadn't. He goes in, thinks he's got a pick, and just immediately gets turned around on. And you called it with the dollar. I mean, it definitely felt like that. I mean, money can't buy you happiness, but it can surely buy you items.
It can buy you wins.
It can buy you items. That is now a Gargoyle Stoneblade on top for Kex. Like, he gets into the fight, and he just becomes an absolute immovable wall.
And Taxa has to delay his build even further. I've been looking for that Void stuff to come through, or the Hourglass. I'm not sure which one of the two he wants to go towards, because he has the gem, I don't remember what it's called,
it's
to go towards the Void stuff.
Blighting Jewel.
But then he also has the Tome to go towards Hourglass, but then he also has the anti-heal, so it's kind of like Bootyard Sale MC.
He might actually well be dead, does get a decent kick, and they can't quite finish him until the Gravitum comes through, and that is big. They've picked off the jungler, and do Astralis feel confident enough to try something like a Baron? I just don't think it is. They don't have the control.
Yeah, they don't have the control. The side lanes are pushing. On the meantime, Slowq was able to take top lane tier 2 tower as well, but that's a big fat shutdown going to the sort of Corki. We know how scary Corki can get towards the latter stages of the game. So I think Astralis, they can still stall and they can still wait, but they only have 2 minutes and 50 seconds until that Ocean Soul comes knocking on Riddle's door again. We mentioned before, it was one of the reasons why Riddle were able to pull a very sloppy game through and get the victory of that Ocean Soul, keeping them alive, and all of the poke that's going to be coming in for Crest. If they're walking a little bit back into Fog of War, it's going to get healed quickly.
You've got to keep your eyes on Chrisberg and Cress's inventories. If they get 3 items before that soul fight, they might have enough damage to maybe win it. Maybe.
I don't think it's possible to get that much gold.
It's just like, that's just it. Like, they've got half an item each. That's a Tiamat picked up for Cress, and they've got 2 minutes. Teleport plus package, maybe.
Okay.
It's just hard.
Silver lining.
Okay.
We've got 2 items on set.
Yes.
Can stay alive longer, and very importantly, Taxa has finally finished his second item, which is a Zonas, and it's very important. The longer this Diana stays alive, the longer you bait abilities with your Hourglass as Diana, the better the teamfight will be and the more extended, which means your carries as Aphelios and Corki can output a lot more damage in this fight. Now, another thing that's very important is the fact that not only Crispec is very close to his third item, he's gonna back now, he might have it in his pocket, but it's also his weapon management. What weapons is he gonna choose to go into this fight with? 3 items on Aphelios, he's online. Fight is coming up in 1 minute and 30, and as you can see, Taxa and Wendell are teaming up to try and put some control on this side of the map. Now, the thing with Riddle is, they don't have to take the bait.
No.
They can let the Dragon go, the sort of Astralis, and they can take Baron.
They really can, and yes, it's not the fastest, but at this point, you're tanky enough, you're late enough in the game, it's still going to die relatively quick. Exactly, Renekton's topside, you can make it happen. He's got the teleport to join, and the one thing that Astralis don't have is vision control.
Is there package?
There is, I don't know, surely Corki were back for it. That is Calibrum and Infernum right now for Crispberg as well, just to update you, because we did say weapon management would be important.
And Calibrum is full, and Infernum is full, which means that most likely Crispec will be going into this fight with these 2 items. And tell you what, I don't mind them.
That's not a bad choice.
A very long-range Aphelios and an AoE fight for him, a Moonlight Vigil with Infernum could potentially do a lot of damage, plus all the Corki rockets that are gonna be running in. I kind of do like the choice here for Crispec.
But they've still got to run the gauntlet that is the shooting gallery that Riddle have set up in the river. They're going to try and get control of the mid lane,
Look at Slowky's
Astralis.
positioning.
And watch the bubble start flying. It lands onto Taxa. Can't continue to chase him down, though, and that deadly foe will miss. But MC's on the flank. They don't know he's here. He's still hunting around, but he will be... Do indeed know now. They've figured him out, and that's another bubble landing 2 in a row right now for Slowq. Does not get hit by the dredge line, though I grant you that was a little close as kept on vision. There is the curtain call. MC off to the side. Bubble doesn't land onto Wendell, just about. And the curtains have got one final pull of that trigger to get Taxa down to half HP. Nothing to heal off the deadly flourish on top.
Make it 30%.
I mean, MC could probably be 100 to 0 at this point. Watch it, Kex well. They know he's there. And Carlson is playing gatekeeper. That's keeping out so much of the damage, so much of the control and front line that Riddle have.
Look at MC. They know they have 2 monsters right and left of them in the entirety of Riddle. They got Kex back. He's too tanky.
He's so tanky. He's got a gargoyle stone plate. MC gets the kick, and they're going to keep chasing Carlson to the backside. He gets made sleepy. And that's not quite the kill until Slowq gets it to a 2 with Batichan. It's a domination, and Crispberg's alive. He's got the Infernum and Severum trying to heal up. Can he run through it with the 3 items? Aphelios needs to do everything. Flat fall to MC. He takes so much damage, he can't stay alive. But now, wait, I take it back. He's still alive until Kex flashes on top of him, but it's Cress versus Kex. And I think just maybe Cress can keep himself away. There's no flash left until he gets a stun, and the Culvermic secures it. Astralis tried, but they couldn't quite secure it. Kex will secure the Ocean Soul.
Oh my god, Riddle must be wiping their foreheads off of this sweat right now, because all the money that they put into Kex in the early game came to bail them out of this very, 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 very messy fight where we talked about it. Aphelios with 3rd item shine through. Now here, Astralis have the right idea. They want to isolate Kex, but he is way too tanky. And this front to back that's happening right now, where Riddle cannot necessarily walk into the backline, you see how much Corki and Aphelios are able to output in terms of damage. This fight was going south for Riddle. Crest was able to hit freely. Crispec was able to hit freely. These 2 guys were the last 2 to fall. Riddle could not reach the carries of Astralis at the very last second, and Kex put a performance to be remembered. And what else could be remembered is Kex if he goes down here.
He's in a 2-4v1, he's winning it. Carlson could do nothing. He's got to get Wendell as well. He's got it. He's got Raptors to heal off as well. There's the Haymaker. I just don't know whether you're going to get this one. Look at the damage. They get a move all. Another damage lands, and there's a deadly flourish coming through alongside the curtain call. I mean, one final bullet might just murder him. Not quite.
Okay, Kex is putting on a performance for the unfaithful of Riddle. If anyone didn't believe they could do it, Kex is like, put money in me.
He's 134 CS over Carlson right now. This man is a monster. Look at the goal difference. 60K. What on earth? What on earth is that?
He's 7,000 gold ahead. But again, he's the reason they could win this team fight. Now, This might look like a very large gold diff, but the reality of the things are, if we look at Astralis, they scale so much better than Riddle does.
They do.
In terms of front-to-back team fighting, in terms of protection, in terms of mixed damage that's coming in from the Corki and the Aphelios, but also continuous damage that both the Aphelios and the Corki can output. So Riddle are going to have to outplay like they have been doing these fights so far if they don't want to lose to Astralis. Don't mind the 7,000 gold difference. I think these team fights are still very even. Astralis know that, and they're going to pursue more.
It was so close last fight. I tell you, there was a one-man Infernamal from Chrisberg. If that had been multi-man, that fight was theirs. That's how close it was. Corki is now at 3.5 items. That Aphelios is inches away from an infinity edge.
Yep.
That's when, if it was close before, it's closer still. You're absolutely right, Trouble. Yes, you've got Golden and Renekton, but he's not a hyper carry. He's not the late scaler.
Renekton is just going to keep getting tankier, but Chrisberg and Cress on Aphelios and Corki respectively are going to be able to penetrate that much more damage into any tank the more the time goes by. Level 16, level 18, these rockets are going to be hurting hard. The Moonlight Vigil is going to hit that much harder. And you can see how these team fights can be turned around just because of the nature of the Astralis composition. It's just so much easier to play the front to back. You saw how Kekt really struggled getting into the back line. Corki and Aphelios, I'm going to say it again, were the last 2 to fall last fight. So all eyes on Chrisberg, all eyes on Cress. Are they going to be able to pull this fight? Cress just picked up the package.
Astralis have managed to stall this long. Riddle couldn't find the pick to get the Baron. They've managed to secure 4 Drakes in a row, and they've got themselves another
There
Ocean
wasn't
Soul.
a package before, now there is one.
There's a package this time, you're right. It's there. They're going to shove into this tower, and I don't think Riddle want to even try stopping this one. They'll get some poke over the wall, and that's not bad. And maybe now Wendell's actually gone forwards. He could be in a lot of trouble here. That's the Solar Flare. Not as much damage as they would like. Over the wall again goes Slowq, not quite enough. Kex did see whether Cress could be caught there. Wendell's so low. Carl's made asleep. And remember, Wendell's already chunked out. He can't be here to fight. They get a good haymaker, though. The Moonlight Vigil, not quite enough. MC to the backside will not be able to get too much done. He's still alive. He flashes away. They've got a kill. That's a slow from the captive audience. Chrisberg trying to stay alive, and Kekt is going to get chunked so damn low. Slowq now hunting forwards with the Gale Force, try and get something. MC on the side will get Taxa to go golden. They'll get the Sonic Wave into the resonating strike, but they can't kill him. MC goes down. Chrisberg trying to stay alive, and he does fall. Fatted chance occurs another, and while one ED carry was trying to stay alive, Fatted was taking names and taking skulls.
And we said that Riddle were going to have to outplay Astralis, and outplay they did. They forced them away from that Baron River, they forced them away from the mid lane, and they picked them apart one by one. Astralis could not play the front to back. Riddle will take this one and run further away from them.
From 2-4 to 4-4 this week, and Astralis 0-6 in their last 6 games. It's a bit of a problem continuing for the other Academy team.
Honestly, that was a sick performance. I have to give it. Kekt, mate, I don't know what breakfast you ate today.
He ate Astralis.
Holy that worked. Honestly, all the resources they put into him, the way MC was playing the game, the way the entirety of Riddle was playing, the respect from the bot lane, MC with the early game moves when he knew that Diana was ahead of him, and again Astralis, they just failed to capitalize yet again with a composition that should have scaled above gods. And honestly, I know the players are probably going to be disappointed. You know, Astralis is a second Academy team. You know, it's disappointing to the fans, but honestly, no hate and no pressure to the players. Nobody wants to lose. Again, congratulations to Riddle.
Indeed. So close, so far. Astralis 4, Riddle win. We're going to a break. We'll be right back after this.